For most of human history, time was something we looked for in the sky. We tracked the path of the sun to understand the day, and the phases of the moon to navigate the months. But these were massive, natural rhythms. For thousands of years, the concept of a second didn't exist in any practical sense. It was a theoretical division, a fraction of a fraction that no one could actually see or hear. Our journey toward precision was not just about building better tools, but about finding a heartbeat for the universe that was more stable than the planet we live on. The ancient Egyptians and Babylonians gave us the base 60 system we still use today, but their hours were fluid. A daytime hour in the summer was longer than a daytime hour in the winter because they divided the period of sunlight into 12 equal parts. Sundials could tell you when it was noon, but they were silent on the passing of moments. Water clocks attempted to bridge this gap by measuring the flow of liquid through a small hole. Yet temperature and pressure made them inconsistent. The second remained an invisible ghost, trapped between the drops of falling water. By the 14th century, the first mechanical clocks appeared in European bell towers. These were massive iron machines powered by falling weights. They used a device called a verge escapement to tick, but they were incredibly inaccurate, often losing or gaining half an hour every day. They lacked a balance and natural frequency to keep them steady. It wasn't until 1656 that Christian Huygens applied the physics of the pendulum to a clock. For the first time, the world had a heartbeat. The swinging weight provided a regular, repeating interval that allowed the second hand to finally appear on the clock face. The pendulum changed everything on land, but it was useless at sea. On a rocking ship, a pendulum would swing wildly, making navigation impossible. This created a crisis. Without accurate time, sailors couldn't calculate their longitude, leading to shipwrecks and lost voyages. The solution came from John Harrison, a carpenter who spent decades perfecting the marine chronometer. His H4 timepiece didn't use a pendulum. It used a fast-beating coiled spring. This transition from gravity-based time to spring-based time meant that human beings could finally carry a precise second in their pocket, unaffected by the motion of the ocean. As we entered the 20th century, we discovered that crystals could keep time better than springs. When you apply electricity to a small piece of quartz, it vibrates at a very specific frequency, exactly 32,768 times per second. By using a simple circuit to count these vibrations, we created the quartz watch. This technology democratized precision, making it possible for every person on Earth to track time with an accuracy of a few seconds per month. However, even quartz has a limit. It is sensitive to temperature and age, and for the growing field of physics, it was still too clumsy. Up until the 1960s, this second was officially defined as a fraction of the Earth's rotation. But the Earth is a terrible clock. Its rotation is gradually slowing down due to the tidal friction of the moon, and it wobbles unpredictably due to movements in its molten core and atmosphere. If we wanted to reach the next level of technology, we had to stop looking at the stars and start looking at the atom. We needed a standard that was universal and unchanging, something that would be the same on Earth as it is on the other side of the galaxy. In 1967, the world officially redefined the second. It was no longer a piece of the day. It became 9, 192, 631, 770 vibrations of a cesium-133 atom. In an atomic clock, cesium atoms are sprayed through a vacuum chamber and hit with microwaves. If the frequency of those microwaves is exactly right, the atoms change their energy state. We use this atomic transition as a reference to tune a master oscillator. This process is so stable that a modern cesium clock won't lose a single second in over 100 million years, providing the invisible foundation for our GPS and internet networks. Today, we are moving beyond cesium toward what are called optical lattice clocks. Instead of microwaves, these clocks use visible light, which oscillates tens of thousands of times faster. They work by using intersecting laser beams to create a lattice, a web of light that traps thousands of strontium atoms in place. By measuring the vibrations of these trapped atoms, we can achieve a level of precision that is almost difficult to comprehend. These clocks are so sensitive that they can detect the slowing of time caused by gravity if you raise the clock by just a few centimeters. The race for the perfect second has fundamentally changed our relationship with reality. We no longer use clocks to tell us where the sun is. We use them to synchronize global financial markets, manage power grids, and guide autonomous vehicles. If our clocks were off by even a few microseconds, GPS would miscalculate your position by kilometers. We have moved from chasing shadows on the ground to capturing the fundamental vibrations of the universe. In doing so, we didn't just learn how to measure the second, we learned how to master the very fabric of modern life.
If you'd like more videos like this, you can subscribe and come back to Brief Stories anytime.